Welcome back. Gmax 1.2 for the beginning modeler video number 26. This is the first part of the series where we'll be focusing on booms and tails. As you can see, we've finished up the fuselage and the wings and all their component parts, and now it's time to get back to the back of the aircraft and focus on the tail section here and the booms that support it. So with that said, our first focus is going to be on constructing this boom. I've already given it a go just to see how it was going to work out, having done it before, but that was a month ago. So anyhow, I'm going to show you how I constructed this boom just as a starting point, and what we'll do is work from the left side here. When we get this done in this video, we'll move on to the vertical tail. That would be the back section here. Construct the vertical tail, and then back to the horizontal tail here, along with its associated parts, rudders, elevators, trim tabs, etc. And those are pretty easy to do. Nothing really new in this part, so it'll go relatively quickly, except for creating the vertical tail. It's a little more intricate because of all the shaping that goes on, and both horizontally and vertically, because of the increasing width as you start from the leading edge back to here, and it's also narrower at the top than it is at the center, and a little less narrow, a little less fat at the bottom. And you have the same situation going on with the rudder and trim tabs. So, and of course, they have to be built into each other. So it takes a little time. It's nothing so too intricate. It's just you want to get it shaped as close to real as possible. We have some help with that down on the 3 view. We'll see how we decide to approach it. I've done these things several different ways. It really depends on the aircraft, but that's for a future video. So let's get started on how I went about constructing the boom. Pretty simple, really. We just use in this case, an 18-sided cylinder with a few segments in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Basically, I just built it with 2 segments and extruded these out. Once I got the length where I wanted it, then began shaping to the 3 view. So let's do that, and we just hide this one since I spent a little time in getting it precise, but I want to take you through the process. So let's just hide that, and essentially everything else will get out of the way, except the 3 view, of course. So let's go to the top view. We're going to focus essentially on building from this S line back to where the boom actually stops, which is about midway to the H-tail and rudder. So we'll start with create standard primitive cylinder, and let's see if that, there is a side view on here we can kind of use as a start for the size. So we just fill that up and push it back a little bit after we release the mouse. So we've got essentially a close starting point. So let's just grab that and move it down here in the vicinity, and we'll rotate that so we can see what's really going on here. We'll rotate 90 degrees on the x-axis if you look at the bottom. So there we go. We'll just sort of move this into position. Let's make this transparent so we can see what's going on with the 3 view. Let's see, scroll down, Shupe. See through, thank you. And we're going to place this segment right on the S line. And you notice we're a little fat there, so we just, not that it means a lot right here, but we'll skinny this down by, say, 3. Okay, how about 0.33? Good grief. Fat fingers. Press enter. That's close enough to get started. Gives us a ballpark. Alright, and now we're going to simply convert this to poly mode and go to editable subobject mode. And we're just going to pull this down here to about where this boom is supposed to end. One of the interesting things about these booms is you notice they come straight back on the inside and they're curved back on the outside, so rather it can cause problems if we don't approach this correctly, I suppose. So let's just pull this over in the vicinity and go ahead and scale this down in the neighborhood. We'll tweak it as we get further along here. Pull it a little further to the right. I'm looking at the lines up in the midsection here. And yeah, that's a pretty good start for positioning. Let's go to the side view, hit the L for left key, and we'll see we need to come down a little bit. And let's see what else we got here. I'm having trouble seeing the lines for some reason. Let's just move this up. Oh, there they are down there. I got my front so far off that I lost where I was. Forgot to position it. Okay, we're kind of in the neighborhood there. We're going to have to scale that down a tad so we can see the lines a little better, if nothing else. Alright, now we can go back to what we have in this area. Just having trouble seeing this today for some reason. So according to that, you remember we're pretty much on it this way. Let's move to the left a smidgen. According to that, we're probably a little narrow, so let's scale up on the horizontal here. We don't want it too fat because eventually, well, we're going to be pulling it back. Hit the wrong key there. So then let's pull it back down. See what we've got here. Okay, we've got to go fat on the vertical plane. So let's go to the non-uniform scale and kind of fatten that up. Alright, we're looking pretty good there. Alright, and so we've got the basic shape in place. So that's looking pretty good. Now we're going to extrude this front poly up through here. We're going to have to do it on multiple cross sections because you can see from these lines that these are the fairings, or fillets or fairings out to the wing. Well, we're going to focus on the primary section here first and just build out to this line. So let's just select, ignore back facing is off, so let's select all those polys and then deselect this one because the only one I want is this front one so we can extrude. So we're just going to extrude this, and we're going to do it fairly often because as you see we've got some curvatures to deal with in here, and ending up here just beyond where the gear pivots. So we're just going to slap some sections in here, and we'll obviously going to have to adjust them later, but it's a starting point for shape, so don't have to be too critical here. We can always add cross sections after the fact by either removing and adding back, or we can actually use the slice tool to put a cross section anywhere we want. So that's a good starting point right there. So let's first grab some vertices and just try to follow this, because even though this comes up, the way it comes up here straight on the inside and curved on the outside, when you get up here it kind of follows its own rules. So we're just going to grab all these vertices and start adjusting to the line. And no, that one's pretty good, but we want to try to keep our mesh kind of flowing nicely. It's important for a good looking result. So of course, once you remove all the lines the way we're viewing it, it's going to look pretty good anyhow. You get textures on these bad boys, and things start looking really nice. There's not much I can do with that right now, but it looks like it needs to go to the left a smidgen. Just want to try to keep these lines relatively straight with each other. We're going to be really working with this later on in order to fillet into the wing. So let's go back to the left section here. We'll start shaping this. Here's the line we're following, and this needs to come up a little. Oops, hit the wrong button there, brother. Come up a little there, and these all need to come down a bit. We'll follow the top line here as a starting point, and then eventually this starts narrowing. But the deal right in this section is this is where the tire rotates into, so it's got to remain relatively flat in order to house the tire and gear. The tire actually comes up and then turns 90 degrees. It doesn't show it on this particular 3 view, at least I don't see it, and it sits sideways in this within this boom. So we've got to make sure we accommodate that. Okay, we're getting there, folks. As I said, it's when you start pushing vertices around like this, it just takes time. We're going to have to come back to all this stuff up here, and it's a little hard to discern where this bottom line, this shows it stops there. Well, it doesn't really. It actually just flows up in here smoothly and then melts into the bottom of the wing. So we have to use a little bit of artistic license here to. We're going to leave this fat up through here in order to accommodate the gear, and then we're going to start pulling it down once we get beyond, let's see here, this point right in here. So we'll start with this group and start bringing it down ever so slightly. We're going to use the, well, you know what, because I know we're going to have to fillet this, we're just going to do it on the vertical axis. So we're going to just, actually should have done all of them at the same time. Let's just do that, because we're going to be, I missed it. Sometimes you think you're on that pivot and you click on it and start dragging, you're not on it at all. So it's like, what's up with that? Missed. Just missed it, that's all. Man up. Okay, so this is kind of intricate work and it takes some time, but I did want to show you the process just one time, and then we'll just flip the other one back in here. Still, I think it needs to come down a little bit. Need to get this curve going just ever so slightly to start getting this, so it's going to melt into the wing here. And we'll add probably another 2 sections to this. So there you got the idea. And then ultimately, see, I don't have a picture handy to show you, but if we go back to the top and select off of that, you can see essentially we've got a good start on that boom and its shape. And if you go and hide the wing, just, you always need to be cross-referencing these things. Just kind of say, how am I doing? Am I in the ballpark? So let's look at the left wing. And you can see that we're probably high enough there, and it looks good on the low side. You can kind of look at this down here. Looks good on the low side. But eventually we'll fillet these out to the wings, and then to start back in here, go to a pointer here, and this fillet actually runs out like this, comes back in, and ends up about right here. So once we get the rest of this done, and before we get on to the gear, we'll work on finalizing the front of that. So that's what that's all about. So let me just delete this work and pull the other one back in. If I can bind it, I don't even know what probably cylinder. There we go. So let's call this boom. Call it left. Boom left. Okay. And we're going to attach that or link it to the wing. Alright, and we're going to just get rid of the wing now and get it out of our face. I can hit the button up here. Alright, so we've got what I think. Let's try the lighting the other way, see if it's any better. Sometimes the bright is helpful and sometimes it's not. So our focus is going to, I think that's better. It's going to be back here in the back. Which time we into this? We're into this 18 minutes, so tell you what, let's kind of wrap this video for now. And in the next video, I'll get started. We need plenty of time to focus on this vertical tail because of all the vertice pushing and the reshaping, and I mean we go a little crazy with the and you have to once you get the basic shape in place using the non-uniform scale, getting all these edges correct and fattening up where you need to fatten up. So it just takes a little work, patience, and due diligence, and we'll get through it. So thanks for jumping in. The start of this boom and tail section. This will probably run for about at least 3 or 4 parts, but I'm going to try to take it slow and easy because this is probably one of the most intricate parts to shape well. So, and I guess I'm a little finicky about those things, so I want to make sure we spend the appropriate time on it for the task at hand. All right, any comments, suggestions, post down below, and I look forward to seeing you back on the next video. Thanks a bunch.